Yo, Chris, here to give some brief predictions for UFC 185. I was thinking, looking at this card is definitely, or this event is definitely under the radar. I don't really see a lot of people talking about it, not a lot, given the stackness of the card, in my opinion, or a big push for it as far as presence, as far as the UFC pushing, like they have a lot of their bigger cards. Not saying it's one of their bigger cards, but this card's pretty stacked on paper, in my opinion, and it doesn't seem like it's getting a lot of buzz. At least not yet. I mean, only a few days away, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it. So even though I don't do too many predictions videos as many as I used to, I figured I'd be kind of a hypocrite if I didn't give a quick some picks on it. As far as the main event, I said in my last video I made, 184 Afterthoughts, that Ronda Rousey is must-see TV in my opinion at this point. Anthony Pettis, I'm not necessarily a fan of the guy. He's not one of my favorite fighters by any stretch, but if you're a fan of MMA, I think he is also must-see TV at this point. I can't recall the last time the guy was in a boring fight, the Clay Guida fight maybe. That was probably the last time he's been in a boring fight. It may be the only time he's been in a boring fight. And I mean, he just seems to get better every time out. Obviously, he's a dynamic striker who can end a fight anytime with that, but also he's showing this submission game against Ben Henderson and Dos Anjos, where he can catch a sub against some, not Dos Anjos, Melendez. He can catch a sub against some of the best guys out there in unexpected ways as well. So this guy can finish a fight at any time, and I think that's the reason I want to watch him perform. As far as Dos Anjos, looked good in his last couple fights, beating Ben Henderson and dismantling my guy Nate Diaz his last time out. Pettis, as I said, got the win against Melendez his last time out. Really impressive, stopping a guy who had never been stopped before in a long career. Should be a good fight. It's pretty competitive on paper, but with Pettis, you never know, man. I think he's a level ahead, I think, of most of the guys, if not all the guys in the lightweight division. I think Dos Anjos is about as good of a challenge as you can get, but I don't think he's good enough to get the job done here. So give me Pettis. I'm not sure how. I assume he'll probably finish him, but I wouldn't know what round or by strike, submission. I don't know, but I do think the Pettis is going to win by stoppage. As far as the co-main event, got women's strawweight, I believe, 150-pound champion Carla Esparza taking on Joanna. Forgive me on this name. Did dismantle it or make it sound like terrible. Jedrasic. Once again, apologies for butchering the name. But should be a good fight. Joanna got a win against Claudia Gadelha last time out, a fight that I think a lot of people, myself included, thought Gadelha was going to win, would be the next contender for Esparza. But Joanna got the win. Really good striker. Kickboxing background. If you watch the countdown to UFC 185, they did a lot on her. They really should focus on her a lot on the show. They give a lot of background on her, a lot more information than I knew about her. So I'm kind of rooting for her. I'm just not a big fan of Esparza's personality, to be honest. Unfortunately, I think Esparza is the favorite in this fight for good reason. Her wrestling style, I think, should be a bit of a kryptonite for Joanna here. She's able to get this fight to the ground. I think she can probably submit her, if not just grind her out to a 5-round decision win. If Joanna can show some of the takedown defense she's been working on, keep this fight standing, I think she has a pretty big edge, but you got to lean towards the champ for this one. So I'm thinking Esparza by submission. Maybe a rear naked choke. Third fight up or down, top of the card, whatever you want to call it. Former UFC welterweight champion Johnny Hendricks taking on Matt Brown. This is a fight this is one of those fights I'm surprised is not getting more buzz. I mean, when Johnny Hendricks was the champ, his last fight, before the Lawler rematch was made, a lot of people assumed, and before Brown fought Lawler and lost to him, a lot of people assumed with Matt Brown on that big long win streak that he was going to fight Johnny Hendricks. And it didn't happen because Hendricks got hurt. But a lot of people thought that fight was going to happen for the title when Hendricks held the belt. So, I mean, both guys have lost to Lawler in the meantime. Although the Hendricks losing to Lawler in the rematch, a lot of people would still debate in that fight. So this is a fight, it's a number one contenders fight in my opinion. The winner of this will probably face the winner of Lawler and McDonald. But it's a fight that almost happened about a year ago for the title. And it's a good fight, Unfortunately, I think it only being a 3-round fight, definitely got to favor Johnny Hendricks. The longer the fight goes, I think the stronger Brown usually gets. And I think if this was a 5-round fight, I might get more of a chance. But unfortunately, being a 3-round fight, I think Hendricks is going to be able to control the first couple of rounds. He's a little bit quicker, I think, and he's got the wrestling edge. He'll definitely be looking to stifle, get Brown on his back, probably smother him against the cage, kind of like how he tried to do Lawler in the rematch. Brown's got to get going with strikes early on, man. He can be a fast starter, but he usually builds momentum. He's got to try to build it early. Because if he falls behind 2 rounds, no matter what he does in the third, I don't think he's going to have enough to stop Johnny. Even if he can win that round, it won't be enough if he loses the first 2 rounds. I favor Hendricks in this one, though. You know, he's not going to be coming in off a huge weight cut like he did in his last fight against Lawler in the rematch. He's looking sharp and training from what I saw on the UFC Countdown show. I'd actually like to see Brown win this fight because I'd like to see him face the winner of Lawler, McDonald Moore. But I got to favor Hendricks to win this one by decision. And one last fight I want to talk about. Another fight. Once again, I'm surprised not being talked about more. Roy Nelson versus Alistair Overeem. This is a unique pairing. Of course, with the heavyweight division, you never know what you're going to get. But this is an interesting fight. You know, you never know what you're going to get with Alistair Overeem, man. He's either going to look really impressive or he's going to look really bad and self-destruct. And Roy Nelson, for the most part, he usually always brings an entertaining fight for the most part. Heavy hands. Has actually lost 3 of his last 4, though. Got knocked out by Mark Hunt in his last fight over in Japan. Honestly, this is one of those fights, maybe because it's in the heavyweight division, maybe because of who's in it, Alistair Overeem and Roy Nelson, I really don't know who to favor. Not only that, if someone could tell me how this fight's going to end, like accurately predict how it's end, I'll give you a shout out in my UFC Afterthoughts video. Not like that's really a big deal, but I'll give you definitely credit or props for doing so because I don't know how this fight's going to end. I don't know who's going to win. I'm going to lean towards Alistair Overeem. Yet this seems like one of those fights where he may start off looking good and then just end up faltering and getting caught and knocked out. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes that way, but I'm going to favor Overeem. I don't know why. I guess I have faith in this guy, even though he's shown time and time again that that's not the best thing to do. But give me Overeem by stoppage. But like I said, if you can predict how this fight's going to end, please let me know, and I'll give you credit for it in my Afterthoughts vid. Anyways, that's it for now. Be back Saturday night, most likely talk about these fights afterwards. But until then, link to Twitter and Fisher as always, and I'm out.